While he had a good day on Tuesday, he needs to campaign more like he's governed, and I would like to see that more. And then happy Mother's Day to all the mothers.
Aaron's face just went, what?
Going in, my boy John, but no, don't you? Yeah, that's fine. All right, happy Mother's Day to my mom and my lovely wife and all the mothers out there as well, and also happy Mother's Day to my mother-in-law, Hilda. Also want to give a huge shout out to CEO Lorraine Cochran Johnson, as Kathy mentioned, great State of the Cab address. She talked about tough decisions in her first really week, but also the first 100 days. Packed house, wonderful video how she introduced the senior cabinet, so it was great. And also shout out to Deborah Mitchell, who was there, RB Communications. She loves the show. And then lastly, shout out to all of the teachers. Last week was Teacher Appreciation Week, and so I always talk about being a teacher is the most noble job. They've had tremendous impacts in my life.
Phil.
Well, I agree with you on Lorraine Cochran Johnson. She is a winner, too. And while we're talking about government people, I've got a winner over in Putnam County. It's the Putnam County Clerk, Lynn Butterworth. She got the top honor from the Association of County Commissioners and the Clerks Association for being the best clerk in the state. That is the backbone of county government, a clerk. And so congratulations to her. And also President Trump, he cut a great deal with the United Kingdom. There was reciprocity and tariffs. That's what he wanted, and that's what is going to be beneficial to America with jobs and companies coming here from the UK.
All right, Kathy.
Oh, man, that begs a response, but I'm not going to give it. Happy Mother's Day to my mom. Mom, I'll see you at lunch.
Aww.
And happy 37th anniversary to my wife, Karen, and looking forward to many, many, many more years. My other winner is Rohit Malhotra, who just threw his name into the ring for Atlanta City Council President. I think he's going to show some of that attention and shakeup that's much needed there. And my loser are the Cobb police and DAs in this case against Mahendra Patel, who was accused of trying to abduct a toddler in a Walmart and spent 45 days in jail before he even got a hearing. It's a terrible case, and those guys are my losers.
All right, we'll leave it there.
Well, welcome into Fox 5 News Now. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thank you so much for streaming with us on your Mother's Day Sunday morning. Alex Forbes, how are you?
Pretty good. You know, I think Mother Nature could probably cooperate a little more on Mother's Day.
Yes.
But here we are.
So we're going to get into your Mother's Day forecast in just a little bit, because I know a lot of you are probably wondering on the timing of the rain this afternoon and what things are going to look like. But I want to take a minute first, Alex, to talk about what everyone is talking about, an earthquake in Georgia.
Yeah, so it was 23 hours and 57 minutes ago, but who's counting? South of Knoxville, about 30 miles south of Knoxville. We had this for you yesterday morning on Fox Local. So if you're familiar with the area, it was south of Maryville. This is not far from where Fontana Lake is in North Carolina. So very close there to the Tennessee-North Carolina state line. But obviously we felt that down here in the metro. We got reports yesterday as far south as Peachtree City, but a number of reports north of the city, particularly in the North Metro. I got a text from Forsyth County. If this was at 9:04, I think I got the text at 9:05. But yeah, it's relatively rare for this region of the world, but it's not unheard of. We do have faults around. We do see earthquakes from time to time, and yesterday was one of those times.
So I think what I hear a lot of people talk about is just the variances in their experiences with the actual earthquake.
Right.
And like where you were, I have a friend in Knoxville, and we text each other yesterday morning. She said she ran out of her house. They lived in Knoxville. Her cats were scared, shaking. They ran out of their house, and all her neighbors were running out of their houses as well. Everyone was very freaked out. My experience was I did feel a light trembling, and it did wake me up. And it's funny because you say you were in studio when you actually felt it.
Yeah, so if you were watching yesterday morning, I was in weather at 9:04, and I was curious, so I went back and looked. And I remember thinking to myself, so for reference for everybody at home, they've been doing some work in the other studio
Yeah.
next to us, and you hear them from time to time. You hear a bang on the wall or something.
Sure.
And I heard that yesterday while I was in weather, and I went back and I looked, and you could see me like look over to the right, just as like, oh, there it is again. And then I realized when I was driving home, I was like,
Yeah.
there was nobody here.
No.
That was the earthquake that happened. So I heard it. I didn't feel it necessarily. But look, and to what you were saying about your friend in Knoxville, we felt very different things, right?
Sure.
Knoxville was about 70 miles closer to the center than Atlanta was. And the same could be said across Georgia, right? People felt it more in Blairsville and in Blue Ridge and in Hiawassee than in places like Douglasville,
Yep.
Marietta, Lawrenceville, and then those places in and around the metro felt it more than Peachtree City did.
Would make
Only
sense.
got one report there.
So we're gonna stand by. Hopefully, no more earthquakes in the
Yeah.
near future. But that's a different thing that I feel like we experience here in Georgia.
Right.
Not too common. But what is common is rain, right? And we've been getting a lot of spring showers here lately. And if you were going about your Mother's Day plans today, maybe they involved something outside.
Yep.
You may now be rethinking them, especially if they're in the afternoon.
Right. And look, Fox 5 Live Viper right now is not all that active in our area, but when I zoom out, you'll see some activity. Before we zoom out, let me zoom in down towards Troup County, Randolph County, Alabama, down towards Chambers County, looking at some showers. So that's across the state line, but they watch us here at Fox 5. Down to the south, what do we find? The Gulf. When do we have the Gulf and it's wide open? That would be a lot of rain moving in towards the Florida Panhandle. So what you see down near Apalachicola, that is going to be our afternoon shower and borderline storm activity. But here's the thing, the storms are not going to have a ton of luck of making it into North Georgia. And the reason is, much like yesterday, our air is super stable. And the way you're able to tell that is, one, we've got temperatures in the 50s right now, but as long as we have that northeasterly breeze from the Greenville-Spartanburg area, there is not going to be any storm activity in our neck of the woods. The conditions just don't allow for it. So as we look at your hour-by-hour Mother's Day forecast, you're finding temperatures getting into the upper 60s, but with rain chances rather than storm chances for the time being for this afternoon.
So as we're looking at this, it kind of seems like, you know, some people in certain areas of our metro might feel a sprinkle, other
Right.
might feel a little bit more, and it's kind of scattered throughout.
Yeah, so let's take a look at it on the maps. And what you're going to see is, by the time we get to the 3 o'clock hour, right, it looks pretty menacing down to the
Sure.
south. You see a whole lot of red and storm activity down in and around the Macon area. But as we play this forward now, what you're going to find is that while some of the heavy rain makes it into the area, notice how it's much more broken apart. And we still have that easterly breeze in place, which would not allow for the storm activity. And I mean, look at that, 9 o'clock, it's like poof, gone. That just goes to show how stable our atmosphere is. But I want to draw your attention to tomorrow morning.
Please.
So tomorrow is going to be a low-end severe weather day,
Okay.
and we're going to have 2 rounds. The first is going to be during the morning hours while many of us are going to work and school. The storms you see here in the metro, North Georgia, Central Georgia, are going to have a low-end spin-up tornado risk with them because
Okay.
there's an area of low pressure over in Alabama that we are pretty close to, and we're going to have these storms close to that. You put all of the perfect ingredients together, and you would get a low-end
Yeah.
tornado. But you need the ingredients to be at 100%. They can't be at 99%. So that's why it's a low-end
So
threat.
you're going to be monitoring those
Right.
percentages.
Yes. So during the morning hours, and then we'll catch a break probably for a little bit during the afternoon. And then once the afternoon rolls around, we'll have a couple of storm chances there as well.
So timing again, 2 rounds tomorrow morning.
Yep.
One is happening in the morning, one in the afternoon, or both in the morning?
Yeah, so one will say from about 3 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Okay.
It's not going to storm at your house for that entire amount of time. In fact,
Okay.
many people will not see storms tomorrow, right? You saw them pretty isolated across North Georgia. So that's the first round. And then the second round will say from 4 p.m. to about 11 p.m. So it's kind of bookending the day
Sure.
with the afternoon being okay for the time being.
Good to know. As we look at the 7-day forecast, I can see obviously Sunday today, we do have that high chance of rain. I
Right.
don't see how it gets higher than that.
It doesn't.
But as we look throughout the week, Thursday, Friday, maybe we'll dry out.
Yeah, I would feel pretty good about that. If we put 10% chances of rain on the 7-day forecast, maybe I would have thrown that on there. But I think the bigger story for the end of the week are going to be those numbers, 87 and 89
Yeah.
on Friday. We're getting into that time of year now where, yeah, it's going to be hot, but it's also going to be a little humid.
I'm starting to feel it.
Yeah, it's mid-May. Here we go.
So if you woke up this morning and you felt the chill like I did, and maybe you were like, oh, I'm not sure about this, enjoy it while it lasts,
Right.
because we're about to do a 180.
Yep.
True Georgia style.
When do we not?
Alex, thank you so much. We're going to, of course, check in with you throughout the morning so that way you guys know what to expect. But if you are headed out today, maybe your plans involve going to, say, Alex, a festival. We have Eli Jordan out in Chastain Park giving us a live look. So Eli, good morning to you. I know the festival doesn't start until 11. Tell me what you're seeing right now.
Hey, Ariel. Yes, I'm out here at Chastain Park at their 17th annual Chastain Park Arts Festival. Real quick, the weather. Yesterday we had that wind and rain, and before everybody showed up, luckily before everybody showed up, check out this tree. This tree's broken. This tree right here was actually laying over the road, and it crushed a booth over here. And you can see some of the remnants going on. But luckily, this was before anybody showed up. Everybody else showed, the artists showed up, and poor artists that had the booth here, their booth was completely crushed. But luckily, that was before anybody showed up. And I have Chris Howell here, and this is before she showed up. But now we don't have any weather today. And Chris, tell me how you feeling about being able to recover from yesterday's crazy weather.
Oh, I feel good about it. You know, you can't control the weather, and so you just come out, and it's Mother's Day, and hopefully people will be out here shopping, and I think we're going to have some good few hours of no rain, so hopefully it'll be great.
I mean, you weren't here, but I guess everybody's kind of talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, I wasn't here when it happened, but luckily no one was hurt, and everything's good. And
so tell me, I mean, what kind of items are you going to be selling today?
So I'm a jewelry designer. I've been designing for about 24 years. And we just have all kinds of mixed metals, really fun hoops, Huggies, which are the latest craze right now. So we're just setting up now, and hopefully you guys will come out and see us. The show starts around 11, so...
Maybe get Mom a little last-minute gift or an extra gift.
Yeah, and some of us are out
that.
here early, so feel free to show up early if you want to enjoy it before it starts raining.
So yeah, I mean, tell me, how hard is it to put on, to have a booth when it's raining? I mean, it's pretty rough, isn't it?
It's tough, but you've got walls for your tent, and sometimes you're putting them up and taking them down and putting them up and taking them down, depending on the weather and how it goes. But it's all good. Sometimes you can't control it, and so you just do what you can, and you just hope for the best.
Awesome. Well, hopefully the weather will hold out for the next few hours, and everybody can get some sales in here. Thank you very much, Chris.
Thank you so much.
And so you can see that, we're still a few hours away before the artists open up their booths, but everything seems, the road's a little bit wet. We have a little dry spell here, and there's a lot of people out walking their dogs. I saw some golfers at the golf course out over here squeezing in. So we're going to have a much better day than we did yesterday for sure. But, with the forecast, I'm sure there's going to be some storms coming through here or some rain showers. But right now, everybody here at Chastain Park, at the Chastain Park Arts Festival, is still good to go. Going to have it happen here on this Mother's Day. And happy Mother's Day to all you moms out there. Ariel?
Eli, I loved meeting Chris, and I feel like it's so fun that the rain is going to hold off for us until this afternoon, so you can go out with Mom and enjoy this. If you're looking for something to do, maybe you procrastinated for too long on a Mother's Day gift, and this is a great way to go do it and get her something she wants on the spot. What are you getting your mom, Eli?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm going to give her just my happy personality and some flowers.
Okay, I think she'll like that. This, I know that they have over
And I'm going to
175.
real quick, hang on.
Oh, yeah. Tell me.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Over 175 vendors out here. Yeah,
Yes.
selling all sorts of stuff. Handmade crafts, paintings, jewelry, as we saw with Chris. And, you can come on out here. And real quick, Ariel,
Yeah.
just in case my mama is watching, happy Mother's Day, Mom.
I love it. Yep. Happy
So, yeah.
Mother's Day to all the
Happy Mother's Day,
mothers.
everybody.
Yes. It's a big sacrifice to be a mom, so we should send you guys a lot of love. Eli, I'm taking a look. It looks like some other people are
Oh,
getting
yeah.
set up. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, everybody's starting to crawl out, and you crawl out from underneath their tents and open up and start displaying their hard work of creative artistry.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Eli, I'm going to
So, yeah,
let
so
you
come on out. Come
keep
on out,
walking
hit your
around.
festival real quick before, any weather comes in.
Yes, yes.
I'll be walking around. I'll see you later, Ariel.
Yeah, we'll see you back here in just a little bit, Eli. I definitely want to check in with you again soon. So, you guys, let's bring it back here in studio and let's get to some news of the day, right? So there's a lot of stories that we've been tracking throughout your Sunday morning here in our newsroom. One of them deals with an escaped inmate. So in Clayton County, we're learning more about an escaped inmate who led police on a wild chase. Now, when we look at this story, we're actually learning that he's facing a long list of new charges after escaping custody. Police say the man, James DeMonte Beasley, was brought to Southern Regional Medical Center for treatment around 3 in the morning Saturday. Just a couple hours later, he was able to free himself from his handcuffs and shackles and escape. While on the run, police believe Beasley changed his clothes and boarded a MARTA bus. Now, when we look at this, we also learned that he was able to carjack. Police say he was able to carjack someone's black Ford F-150 and took off. Officers had found him at the East Point MARTA station. After a short chase, Beasley reportedly crashed that truck and was taken back into custody just after noon on Saturday. It's not clear why he was taken to the hospital and how he managed to escape fully or how he was able to get those clothes he was changed into. But we'll continue to keep you guys updated as we learn any new information on this story. The other thing I want to let you guys know about as we continue to track news of the day for you is an update to crime stats here in the city of Atlanta. So the city is just releasing some new crime numbers for about the midpoint of the year. And police show that the crime overall is down across the city. Newly released numbers show it to be down about 11%. The homicide rate, however, dropped 23% from the same time last year in 2024. However, other crimes are up. Rapes rose 24% and robberies increased 26%. Again, this is according to new data just released by Atlanta Police. The mayor credits community policing, youth programs, and stronger relationships with Atlanta's neighbors as reasons for why crime dipped overall. We'll continue to follow up with them as we learn any new information about why other crimes are increasing as they continue to work in our city. Another story we're following for you is work is halted or paused on the former Atlanta Medical Center. So you may remember the center closed back in 2022. Wellstar says they closed it due to financial issues. And now we're learning that they have had to pause all work. No work can continue at the former center site in the Old Fourth Ward. This was because of a lack of a demolition permit. Crews had started early demolition work on this 22-acre property, clearing the interior of the buildings ahead of that full teardown. This is going to halt the redevelopment efforts to turn the site into a mixed-use neighborhood. When this is completed, we're looking at residential units, retail shops, green space, affordable housing, and healthcare services. In the meantime, however, we're waiting to learn more about when crews can resume working on this. City officials tell us a vertical demolition application was filed back in April, but a permit hasn't yet been issued. And again, you may remember the site closed back in 2022. And at the time, it was only one of Atlanta's 2 level 1 trauma centers. 8 months after the deadly shooting at Appalachia High School, the school community is now saying thank you to those who helped them survive this horrible, horrible ordeal. So yesterday, they threw an event to bring the community together. We know that the school held the first ever Barrow Together event on campus yesterday. And they wanted to say thank you to everyone who showed up to them and supported them in the aftermath of the tragedy. We'll continue to keep you updated as they hold more community events like this. I know it's something that they've been discussing as a way to bring people together. There were vendors on site yesterday, as well as other ways that people could give back to their community. So we'll keep you updated as we learn anything new as they continue to hold more events to bring people together. And y'all, you've heard this before, but it is getting crowded in Atlanta. It's probably no surprise, but Penske, the moving company, says that Atlanta ranks second in a list of top 10 destinations to head to when people are looking at where to move. So as we look at the data, Penske did a survey of movers, and that's when they found how Atlanta ranked within this. Houston, Texas placed first. San Antonio, Texas came at number 3. So Atlanta sandwiched right in between two major Texas cities there. According to the survey, the top reason people moved in 2024 were to be closer to loved ones, better job opportunities, lower cost of living, and needing more space. So, yeah, if you think the traffic's increasing, this could be a reason why. It is about that time to take a quick 2-minute break. We are going to pause for that, you guys. And when we come back, we're going to have much more content for you. One of the things I want to talk about, I caught up with an expert about how to avoid real ID scams. So if you've not upgraded your license or your ID just yet, we're going to talk about how you can avoid getting scammed when you're trying to do that. That's in the next 2 minutes. We'll see you then. Well, welcome back. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thank you so much for streaming with me. If you've not yet upgraded your Real ID, I know there's a lot of questions surrounding this, how to get one, how to make sure you can fly, especially if you don't have one yet. So we caught up with John Clay, who is the Vice President of Threat Intelligence at Trend Micro, and he was talking to me about how to avoid scams when you're going through this process. Let's listen. Welcome in. I have John Clay here with me from Trend Micro. John, great to see you. I want to talk to you about all things Real ID deadline because it sounds like the scammers, unsurprisingly, are trying to take advantage of this.
Yeah, the Real ID thing has come up pretty quickly, actually. I mean, even though the law was passed in 2005, so it's 20 years we've had this thing in place. It really obviously came to a head because the current U.S. Government said that you're going to have to need this by May 7th, which now it's May 8th. So and then, the scammers take advantage of any kind of news, especially news that has a self-imposed deadline to make people have to react quickly. So in this case, they're taking advantage of that by sending out emails, text messages, even phone calls to potential victims saying, hey, you need to get your Real ID. So and by the way, here's a link you can click to go and register for your new Real ID. The challenge we have is the scammer's web page looks almost exactly like the one that you were probably going to go to register for a Real ID. and you'll put in a bunch of your information, maybe even a credit card information, your current driver's license number, maybe a passport number they may ask for. Any and all of that is up for grabs in terms of what the scammers are going to try to take after, take from you. And then once they receive that, if you unfortunately fall victim to it, your data and your information is going to go to a scammer who then can take advantage of it.
Yeah, John, I think for those at this point, right, everyone should be pretty familiar with what a real ID is. But in case you aren't, the US government's trying to streamline things. Each state kind of had its own ID process. And now the federal government's saying, we need to standardize this. We need to make sure every state's license, driver's license, and ID is federally compliant with that
Correct.
star in the upper corner. I got mine, back a year or two ago, and then the deadline has continued to extend with COVID and everything else. And I know a lot of folks have waited up until this last minute because we've seen the long lines outside of DMV offices as people go to try to get these IDs. If people are looking into this and they're going online and they're thinking, hey, I need to renew this, what are some of the red flags to look out for? How do they, if they were to get an email, how do they make sure it's legitimate?
Yeah, and really, frankly, you're not going to get an email from your DMV. You're not going to get a text message. So ignore all of those. So if you get an unsolicited message to you, whether it's a phone call, whether it's an email, whether it's a text message, ignore that and go to your DMV site directly, right? So if you don't have it bookmarked, you can do some searches. Unfortunately, even with searching, for example, the scammers are going to get their stuff to the top of the results. So you really need to figure out what is that DMV site, legitimate site for your state so that you can go there. Obviously, I registered as well. I had to renew my license. I did it online. So I went to the correct site and I went through the process, and it was pretty painless to do that. But the scammers are going to send something to you. So I would recommend you initiate the action of going to the site and doing what you need to do there versus responding to a text message or responding to an email message.
It makes sense because you think about it, the DMV is really quite busy. They don't really have the time to solicit you to upgrade your ID, but a scammer does.
Correct.
Are there certain scams that are very common or certain themes you've seen that have emerged with this real ID rush as so many people are trying to get it, especially now that we're past the deadline and you can no longer fly with your old ID if you had not upgraded? What are some common themes you're seeing?
Yeah, obviously the urgency, right? You have to renew now. You have to, take advantage of this. They may even throw some false issues with it. So like if you don't renew, you're never going to be able to fly, or you're going to get put on the do not flies list. So they're going to throw some of those kind of things into these messages so that you freak out, and you want, get you to take action immediately on and clicking on their link. So they're going to throw in that kind of language in there. It's similar with the toll road scams that have been going on. They'll say you're going to lose your license. You're going to have to pay $150 fine. Even this, they'll probably throw some kind of fine language in there. Is that, hey, if you don't renew by today, you're going to get a $150 fine assessed to you. So they'll throw those kind of languages in there. So anything that tries to really take advantage of this situation, get you to try to click on a link because there's penalties. That kind of language you want to be. It's a big red flag.
Yeah, I think if you've looked at something and there's trying to instill a sense of urgency within you, the key thing, to note if you're watching this and you don't really understand the process is you could go on with your old ID indefinitely. It's not like your old ID is suddenly invalid. It's just that if you wanted to
Correct.
fly or do something federal, you would need that ID in order to fly. Here in Atlanta, we have the world's busiest airport. And
Yeah.
so I'm sure things are going to be quite hectic for TSA. We'll be checking in with them, but they've said they will be turning people away if they don't have that real ID. That doesn't mean that the deadline now means that your ID is invalid. It just means you can't fly with the old one. So, John.
Exactly. I mean, and Kirsty Nome came out the other day and said, hey, don't freak out. Don't panic about this. you can still travel with it. Like they said, though, you may get a little extra vetting going on. So like instead of being able to go straight through, you may have to do a screening, right? You may have to get patted down. Your luggage may get checked a little bit. So it'll take you a little longer to go through those lines. But again, if you're not traveling, if you're not getting an airport, you don't have to go to a federal building, then, don't worry about this and go and renew your license at your leisure. But again, either in person, which is probably the best way to do it, right, Harold, because then you're not going to get scammed. But if you have to do it and you want to do it online, that's where you got to take some precautions. One of the things I do recommend for a lot of people is a lot of people, unfortunately, have their mobile device or their PC, and they don't have any security application running because they inherently think those things are safe.
Yeah.
They aren't, right? Apple's not going to keep you safe. Windows isn't going to necessarily keep you safe all the time. So throw a security app on them. A lot of them are free. Some of them have very small cost, but they're your ally these days, because a lot of the content online is very difficult for the human to discern if it's legitimate or illegitimate. And so, but technology can do that for you now. We've got artificial intelligence back-end engines running that can see this stuff and analyze it for you in real time and identify if something is a scam or not.
It's crazy because so often I'll get an email and I'm impressed by how legitimate the branding looks. Everything looks so real. And if I didn't take a moment sometimes to just click and see the email address and where this is really coming from,
right,
I might be duped myself.
And most people aren't going to do that due diligence, which I mean, it's great on you that you actually would do that and go look at who's sending it and look at, because they spoof those email addresses all the time. So unless you know how to identify if it's spoofed or not, or if the domain that they're taking you to is actually the legitimate domain or not, it's very hard for most individuals out there to do it. So that's why I say embrace technology. I mean, our Scam Check product, for example, if I get a text message and I'm suspicious of it, I just go, Siri, is this a scam? And it will automatically send to us our back end and have it in real time check to see, is this text message a scam or not? And it'll pop up and say, yeah, this is likely a scam. So it gives you that extra help that you might need, looking over, an expert looking over your shoulder, so to speak, while you're browsing to see if something is legitimate or not.
John, thank you so much. This has been great. Thanks for sharing your insight. I hope that if you're watching this, right here on Fox Local, our viewers, that, panic's not the answer, right? Just take a deep breath and you're going to get the real ID. The process may take a little bit if you're waiting in the line, but at the end of the day, it's much better to do that rather than be scammed and give into that panic. So, John, thank you so much for sharing your insight, for being with us today.
Yeah, my pleasure. And have a safe day out there.
Awesome. We're going to go ahead and have a few more pieces of content for you guys coming up.
Well, thank you guys so much for streaming with us. We're going to have our Caitlin Pratt out at the airport giving us a live look at the Real ID aftermath and some Mother's Day travel when we come back at 10 o'clock. We'll see you guys right back here in just a little bit.
Sometimes in life you